Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Dext users. Just going to give people a couple of seconds to join the webinar, and then we will get cracking. So hopefully everyone can hear me okay. If you can't, then definitely get in the chat and do so. But we'll do some housekeeping in a couple of seconds. Happy Friday, Amanda, in the chat. Good to see everyone. Okay, perfect. So let's get started. So welcome to Maximising Dext for Effortless Expense Management. As you know, my name is Max Whiteley, hence the pun in the title, Maximising Dext. So just as a quick introduction to myself, obviously my name is Max. I was an accountant in practice for 13 years. I helped loads and loads of businesses implement Dext and Xero and QuickBooks and things like that within their practices, and taking them from sort of like paperless businesses into digitalized businesses. And that was helping them manage their business expenses, their employee expenses, and everything in between. So I joined Dext 6 months ago as sort of like an accounting expertise. The posh word for that is product domain expert, but effectively just means I help the product team to develop accounting products to help our accounting partners and you business owners to maximize our tools to help eliminate some pain points for you guys, speed up the processing of your bookkeeping so you can spend more time growing your businesses as opposed to spending your weekends sat behind a computer bookkeeping. So let's get into it. So obviously that's a little introduction from myself. We're going to be having a little look at just Dext as a whole, a quick brief recap of what Dext does and what it's there to help you guys do. We're going to go into a live demo, and as I sit in the product team and not in our sales team, I do get a bit of an early insight into some of our product releases. And we've had something enter our, well, we've had two exciting features enter our product in the last couple of days that I think you guys were very excited about, and I'd love to share them with you. And hopefully I can help you, create workflows within your businesses to, get your expenses into your accounting software as quickly as possible, and also to help your employees, create sort of like an expenses workflow that is good for them. They get, their expenses paid back as quickly as possible. For you guys, you have a bit more compliance and approval flow on top of that as well. So after this webinar, the aim is for you guys is that you'll leave with actionable knowledge on how to manage expenses more efficiently using Dext, reducing manual work and improving financial oversight for your small business. So without further ado, I think we're going to sort of get into it. So just a little bit of housekeeping. The chat is great if you guys want to, communicate with each other or speak about things. But if you have any sort of direct questions for myself, if you could put them in the questions box within there. George has demonstrated that for us. If you do have any questions throughout the webinar, hopefully I'll be able to, answer them. I want this to be as interactive as possible. So please do feel free to jump in that questions box. We have also got a couple of the Dext team in that within the questions and the chat box. So they will be able to sort of keep an eye on them and answer those as we go along. So sound familiar? Missing receipts, late submissions of your employees. This is what I used to do because I was terrible at admin. I would save up all of my receipts for 6 months at a time and then sting my employer and say, "Oh, you owe me £1,000 back." And as a business owner, having that sort of uncertainty around cash flow isn't always the greatest thing. Do you have duplicate items? People are putting items as employee expenses and business expenses, and there's duplications all over the place. Are you having sort of misclassified expenses with your team and manually typing up their expenses? There is often errors. Dext, processes something like 30 million transactions last month. So the computer learning behind it probably leads to less sort of errors than we do as humans. Approval delays. Do you have like a manual process? Are you getting your expenses signed on paper copies? Are you doing email approvals? Is there a delay around that? And can we put something else in there to, really speed that up and add a bit of compliance within there? And are your team wasting valuable time using these sorts of manual methods to get expenses through the door and into your accounting software? Okay, so I'm just going to explain two terminologies here that I'm going to refer to throughout the webinar. So First of all, I'm going to talk about business expenses. So when I talk about business expenses in the purpose of this webinar, I'm going to be talking about the costs that your company are paying for themselves. So, these are typically, your cost of sales, your purchases, your rent, your utility bills, marketing costs that your business are paying for out of business funds. Okay. One of those business expenses is going to be employee expenses, but I'm going to refer to this, when I refer to this, I mean employee expenses. And this is expenses that are for the business, but have been paid for by your employees and will often need to be reimbursed. So we're thinking, travel costs when we're out on the go, meals, entertaining clients, working from home supplies, things like that. So that's what I'm going to refer to. Business expenses are expenses paid for by the business, and employee expenses are business expenses paid for by the employee. So hopefully that is clear when we go through this throughout the webinar. So how does Dext help? So for those of you who have been using Dext for some time, and like I said, I was using Dext for 10 years, which is quite frightening. But yes, Dext is the tool to help you capture all of your purchase invoices and sales invoices from your suppliers and customers, to extract all of the information out of it so you don't have to manually type it up, and then put that information directly into your account software. So saving you a lot of time. I think when I first started in accountancy, my whole job was, collecting receipts and invoices from business owners like yourselves, big shoe boxes full of invoices, and typing them up, which was not the greatest interaction. I spent the first 3 years wondering why I'd chosen to be an accountant, as it felt like such a manual, process driven job. So when Dext came along, it simply changed the game for me. So let's take a little look throughout this. So I think this is always best for me to jump directly into the product, as I feel, it's all well and good me giving you a big slideshow, but you don't really learn until you see it in action. So I'm just going to share my screen. I'm going to jump in into Dext directly. So for those of you who don't know, Dext has had a bit of a makeover, as you will, recently, and there's less dark, sort of depressing blue colors within here. It's light and fresh. So when you do come in and do your bookkeeping for your companies, it's hopefully a little less stressful, or I find it a little less stressful anyway. So what you'll see here is the main area in which you guys will be using. And this is the costing box. This is where you get all your invoices from your suppliers, and this is where they all end up before you publish them into your accounting software. The costing box. There's multiple methods to get an item into this costing box before we do anything else with them. And what you'll see in the top right hand corner is those 4 methods within here. So within your costing box, you can either, when on the desktop PC, you can drag and drop or select files from your desktop. So I can go into here, I can collect items from my desktop, and I can put them into Dext, and Dext will start to extract the information from them. We also have an invoice fetching solution. So you can connect your Dext to your supplier invoice portals. So let's use Amazon as an example. When Amazon sends you an invoice, it's often the case that they send you sort of like a delivery notice on an email, or a confirmation of order. And for you to get the actual tax invoice from there, you have to click into the link, download the invoice, and then upload it into Dext. And that process is quite manual. With our invoice fetch solution, what you can do is you can click that, go through the process. You can give Dext your Amazon login details, so that every time a bill goes to your Amazon portal, Dext will grab it out and start to process it for you. So invoice fetch is definitely something that's underutilized, and we have made some improvements to some of our connections, especially at Amazon. But sometimes there will be a need for you to renew that fetch, maybe every 90 days, just for sort of 2-factor authentication rights and making sure that nothing fraudulent is happening there. The 4th method that you will have been used to is our extract by email method. So every user and every business that signs up to Dext will have a personalized email in address, which can be fully customizable. And if you want to know that, then definitely have a little look at how you can do that. You can customize your email in address here if you are the sort of owner of the account, and within your settings you can go and change that too. And within your user settings you can also change, and you can get yourself a personalized email in address for every single user within your business, which we'll explore in a little while. But what often you guys will do is you will get an email from a supplier, and then you will forward that email with the PDF attachment or the word attachment on there, and you'll forward that to your personalized email in address, and it will find its way into Dext. So two tips for me on that to make that a little bit easier, to save you having to remember to forward your attachments into Dext every single time, is first of all, you can set up forwarding rules within your emails. I recently did a video on LinkedIn, if you do want to go and look at that in the future, which was around how to set up email forwarding within Outlook and within Gmail with that. So what you can say is, every time I get an email from B&Q, forward that email directly to this without me having to do anything. However, the problem with that is often B&Q might then go and send you a Christmas brochure, and it will forward that email into Dext. So for me, as an accountant, this is what I used to tell my clients, was the best way to do this is to send a blanket email to all of your top suppliers that says, hey, we value your business. We want to make sure you get paid on time. We want to make sure this relationship is as strong as possible. So going forward, we've got a new account system. I still want you to email me every time you send me a bill. However, can you also CC this email address in? Therefore, it will go into my account system on time, and I'll make sure that you get paid on time as a result of that. So therefore, your client is sending your invoices into Dext, so you don't have to remember to do so. We also have a mobile app, which is super useful. You can get that on any sort of smartphone with an app store, get it on Google Play or your Apple App Store. And you can simply take pictures of your invoices on the go. And you can also now, within the mobile app, do this one here, which has appeared yesterday. You can create mileage claims within Dext now as a solution. Super, super exciting. So previously, what people would do, they would either create an Excel sheet with all of their expenses on. They would use third-party apps. We used to connect in one called TripCatcher, but now you can do it within the Dext app yourself. So whether it's you as a business owner, your employees as the users and expense users, they can create mileage from the laptop like I'm showing you here. But also now, if you go to your app store and you update your Dext app, what you'll see is at the bottom of the screen, you'll have your green plus icon, which you would normally click to take a picture of your receipt. If you press and hold that once you've updated the app, it will now give you the option to create a mileage claim within there as well. So definitely worth downloading the new updates and keeping a track of that. So before I show you how to create a mileage claim, what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump into our business settings in the left-hand side at the bottom here. And what you'll see is you have mileage within here. Within mileage, you now have this wizard to set up your mileage rates in here. So at the top, you say, what distance do I travel? And we're going to say here, we travel in miles. Then we can say, right, okay, what category do I want this to go to? For me, I'm going to choose travel, or you might have a separate mileage code within your chart of accounts, whether that's in Xero, QuickBooks, whatever that may be. You can have a default mileage supplier. So you can have all of your mileage claims go to a contact that says mileage, or alternatively, you might want to leave that blank and leave that up to the supplier. Leave that up to the person who's creating the transaction within Dext, should I say. If you are VAT registered, within here, you can claim, or we will work out the amount of VAT you can claim back on your mileage within here. It's a super useful feature, as it previously was quite a technical element to do that, and we're going to take away a lot of that pain for you. And if you are doing that VAT, the calculation is based on some technical rates, and depending on whether it's a personal vehicle, depending on whether it's a company vehicle, we will calculate those rates for you. At the moment, electric vehicles within our tax calculation are not supported because there is different rates depending on whether you're charging your car at home or whether you're charging your car at a plug-in service somewhere. And that's not to say that won't be the case forever. We're hoping, in later iterations of this product, that we will be able to support that functionality within there. Okay, so jumping back out of our mileage settings, we've set up the defaults within here. We've come down here and we're going to set up our vehicles. So within here, you can see we've got a load of vehicles within here. And I'm just going to show you one that I've previously created. Within here, you can see I've put the name of the vehicle. I've put, the ownership. Is it a personal vehicle? Is it a company vehicle? which will affect some of the rates that we charge. I put in the engine size of my car and whatnot, and we can put all that details in. If you're struggling to find out what the details of your car are and engine size, there's a link to DVLA there, which will give you all of the information that you will need. Okay, once we've set up with everything in there, you can then come back either on the smartphone app or with this add documents here. And what we can't do at the moment, which our team are building out, is that once or in future, you'll be able to come into your app within your phone, click start mileage when you get in the car. And when you get to your final destination, click stop mileage, and it'll pre-populate a mileage claim for you there. Within this create mileage section, you can go here, create mileage. You select the car that you're in. So I'm going to say, right, okay, this is Max's car. It works out how many miles I've claimed in the year. So for tax purposes, for those who aren't aware, you can claim for a personal car, you can claim 45p for the first 10,000 miles within a tax year, and then 25p thereafter. So we're going to keep an eye on how many miles you do in the year to make sure that when you do go over that threshold, we change the rate in which we claim for within there. So I'm going to go from sunny Manchester, which is where I'm based, to the office in London, in Shoreditch. So it's going to calculate the miles within there. I can say whether I've done a round trip, which will double the journey. I can say whether I've had any passengers within the car. As an approved rate from HMRC, you can get more of a tax claim for if you are carrying some passengers. So we're going to say, yep, we've got one passenger within there, and we're going to have a description there of office trip for me. Okay, what we can do there is we can create a claim directly from this solution, or I can show you the calculation in which this has been calculated. So we've had a total distance, which is still within my 10,000 miles. So everything's getting charged at 45p. We've got the extra allowance for carrying a passenger, and the tax calculation has been worked out there based on the rates within our software. We will update the tax rates for you when appropriate. And a really easy way to get your claims, to know what you can claim from HMRC, and put those into your accounting software, making sure you're getting the most out of your business. And if you don't have your business car within the business, or you're not driving commercial vans or things like that, you want to make sure you're claiming as much costs back for your mileage, making sure getting your cash flow for your small businesses up to as much as possible, and claiming everything that you can. Once we're happy with that, we're going to jump into here and we're going to create a claim on the bottom right hand corner. Within here, it creates effectively like a purchase invoice within here. Typically, that's what you would see. When you would see a purchase invoice, you can come into here and you can enter as much or as little information as you would, like you would do when you were creating a purchase invoice within Dext. Once you're happy with that, you can either add that to an expense claim. You can request approval, which is something I'll show you in a second, or if that wasn't on, you could publish it directly into your accounting software. So, like I mentioned a second ago, they are all of our methods. We've got drag and drop. We've got an invoice fetch from your supplier portals. We can now create mileage. You can send your invoices into Dext through your email in method, but could we enhance that by giving that email to your suppliers? And we have a snap on mobile. So use your app to either take pictures of receipts or create that mileage from there as well. Once everything has been collected, it comes in here into your expense form here. So what Dext is here to do is Dext is here to take your information, extract all of the information, so date, amount, receipt. You can set up supplier rules so it knows that every time it sees a certain supplier to put it to a certain category. And we can put some more information in here, but it's going to extract all of the values, the tax amounts from here, and then you can publish that into your accounting software from there. You can edit the line items if you want to have some detail around, not just the summary of the full invoice, but you can have line items within there. There is loads of features within Dext, and we won't have time to go over them, but we will try and match it to your transactions within your unreconciled bank transactions within your Xero or QuickBooks. And also, if you have some transactions that you've already cash coded out of your Xero or QuickBooks, and at a later date you put that invoice in, what we can do is we can say, we think you've already categorized this item in Xero. Do you want to attach this image to that already existing transaction within Xero, just to avoid you getting duplicates within there? What we'll also do as well is we'll do duplicate detection via here. So this is something that a lot of you guys probably aren't aware of, and sometimes you think that invoices are going into the abyss, they're disappearing, you've scanned them in and you don't know where they've gone. Often you'll check the archive, but often the case is they're not in there. And what you'll see within our archive, within this new look and feel, is we have this C submission methods here. With this, what you can do is you can have a view of everything that's gone into Dext. So if we found something that's, a duplicate, what we'll do is say on the right hand side, let me find one from previously. I've changed my settings. Let me have a look. There. So we've got cost confirmed duplicate. So what that's done is it automatically disposed of that transaction for you. So you'll never see that in your cost inbox. The only place you'll ever see that is within your submission history. However, every Dext account that comes in out of the box, so we're going to go into here, our business settings, and to our extraction settings, you have duplicate settings within here. So every Dext that you buy will come with automatic duplicate settings set up. So effectively what that means is every time it sees a duplicate, Dext will grab that and it'll stop it from entering your cost inbox. If you have suppliers who, they use the same invoice template every single month, and we're picking up duplicates that aren't actually duplicates, and you want to have the final review on that, you can change that to review setting, or you can change that to off, so we never look at duplicates for you. If you have it to review within duplicates, what will happen is within your cost section here, you will have a to review box here. So it will stop you from either publishing or requesting approval because we think that you've got a duplicate. And if I click that review items here, what you'll see is it'll put those two side by side. So you've scanned in two invoices here. One was a receipt, one was the actual train ticket, one was the booking confirmation. We think they're the same. And you can decide then, no, it was a different purchase. Both of these invoices will go back to your inbox. Or yes, this is the same purchase. And you can delete one, or you can attach it to an original purchase. So really good, useful settings within there. Like I said, there's loads of features within Dext that go quite far beyond just extracting the information. So, I won't have time to go through them all, but definitely look out for future webinars. Follow myself on LinkedIn, which I'll show you a QR code in the future to link, as I'm constantly trying to educate our users to use all of the great features within here. Okay, so we've looked at our submission methods. We've looked at the exciting new mileage. What I would say on mileage, if you are looking at those VAT calculations, we would encourage you to speak to, your accountant before doing anything, or before claiming or submitting anything with HMRC, just to make sure that everything is aligned and set up correctly. But yeah, and then we've had a little look at, what we're going to do once we're in this inbox, and take this one step further by eliminating all of our duplicates within there. Okay, so this is where you'll process your business expenses, and you can process, you can publish these directly into your accounting software. But then we have your employee expenses, which I presume a lot of you guys are here to find out a little bit more about. You want to be able to manage these a little bit clearer within the software. Okay, so what we're going to do is I'm going to show you how to, first of all, we're going to show you how to set up a user to determine whether that person is a business expense user or an employee expense user within the business, and what will happen if they do a bit of both. So if I have a user who is, I want them to do absolutely everything within Dext. I want them to be able to manage the subscription within Dext. Then what I can do is within my user privileges, this is the same when you set up a user, you'll get the same options. There's 3 options here. So a business admin can do absolutely everything within your business. They can change your subscription, manage your subscription, set up all the rules, everything like that. They can see everyone else's expenses. They can see everyone else's cost items. They can see absolutely everything and pretty much do absolutely everything that you have power to do. The user admin is slightly different. They can see everyone's items. They can submit items, approve items on everyone's behalf. They can create an expense, create expense and claims and approve those, but they can only change their personal settings. They can't change, the users within the business. They can't change your subscription settings. They can't manage any of that, but they can, from a bookkeeping point of view, they can pretty much do everything. They just can't manage your subscription with Dext and some, adding your users within there. So finally, we have a standard user, which is, if you are the business owner, you're going to want to be the business admin. If you have employees, for me, they would typically be standard users. So your employees can submit and view their own items. Okay. and they can, they can't see their colleagues' items, they can't see their colleagues' expense claims, and they can only change their personal settings. As a standard user, in my opinion, if they do have employee expenses, i.e. they don't have a business card, then we want them to be able to create expense claims themselves from there. And because they're not in the bookkeeping team, I don't want them to be able to publish to an accounting software. But we do have the possibility that if you want your user to be able to do so, they can go and submit their own expense claims into Xero if you wish. So I'm going to save that within there. That's just a little summary of the user rights within there. Okay, so jumping back into your expense claims, I'm going to jump into the costing box again. So there's two ways to get an item into your expense claims. It comes into your costing box. You can select it from here, and you can add it to an expense claim directly from here. You can say, yes, it's an existing expense claim, and I can add it to one of these, or I can create a new claim, call it what I want with an end date, and give the name of me as the expense user. For this example, we're going to just add it to my expense claim within here. What I can do then is within our custom box and our expense claims within here, we can jump directly into here. And all of my expense claims for all of my users are here. For me, at the moment, I am the business admin, so I can see everyone's expenses within here. But if I was just a standard user, I would only be able to see my own. Jumping into here, we have our expense claims with all of that information within there. Before I show you that and take that to the next level, what I want you to be aware of is if you have users who don't have any access to business expense claims and they constantly are sending their invoices into the inbox and are moving them into the expense claims inbox, what you can do is within tools and manage auto expense claims, you can automate that process. So I can say for current claims, we're going to start this process from the 30th of November 2024, or we can just say at the end of every month, I want you to do this. At the end of every month, on a monthly basis, including items in the inbox or not, what I can do is for Max there, for my expenses user, what I can do is I can click save there so that every time that user submits an item into Dext, it automatically appears on an expense claim with the month, with the frequency being the end of the month. Okay. What you can do there is that me as a Dext user, I will go forward and I will submit my expenses for Dext on a monthly basis. They will get added to my monthly expense claim. So if I was to, do that now, they would go in as sort of all of my November expenses. And then as soon as the 1st of December hits, Dext will create a new expense claim with the end date, end of December, and the expenses will get added to that. So it pre-populates and automates that process for you guys to, just everything that user adds during the month gets added to their expense claim. And then at the end of the month, whoever needs to come in and review those and publish those into the accounting software, they can do. It just saves that process of you having to manually create expense claims to drag things from your costing box into the expense claims box. You can do it directly using this solution. So have a little look into that. Manage auto expense claims, really useful for automating that process within there. Okay, so once your items have come into your expense claims within here, what you can do is they will all appear within here, and you can have a little look at these. You can either, you view them as PDF, you can export them here as a PDF or as a CSV if you still want to have manual signing, or you need them to get approved by someone outside of Dext. However, it's quite nice, and when these do get sent into Xero, it comes through, or QuickBooks, as this nice little expense claim here, and you can select images for all of the items that are on this expense claim within here. You can add all of the details to these line items within here, and there'll be a full audit trail of everything that's happened within here when you've added things into here. And as the claim as a whole, you can put your details into here. You can say who these are owned by, and we're going to have the claim supplier as the user's name. You can change that, and you can put the claim supplier as something completely different. But we think, we want that supplier to be me, Max Whiteley, within our Xero and QuickBooks, so that when I look at my purchase ledger within my accounting software, that it's gonna show us all of the money that I now owe to Max as my employee within there. So really useful feature, really simple. And what you'll see now is we now have, well, We always had approval settings within expenses, but we have now changed these as of yesterday, and these have come on to sort of the next level. So if you have employees that are coming into here and you want to check their expenses before you pay them out, this is how you do it. Okay, so they've created their expense claims, everything's happy with that. But what you'll see within our user setting within here, before we go into our approvals, is I'm going to just choose this one, Max Whiteley expenses. And within manage, if I go to edit user details within here, here is where I can change that user's personalized email and address. And I can also add a manager within here. So I'm going to say my manager for Max Whiteley is Damien within there. And we're going to go back from there. So every user within here, I can apply a manager to them. Then within our settings, what you'll see is we now have approvals within here. This has been here for the last month or so, and we do have approvals for just your cost items, things in your cost inbox for your business expenses, but we now also have approvals for expense claims as of yesterday. So we can create new workflows for our expenses, and we do that by clicking this big green button in the top right hand corner, and we can create whatever workflow that we want. Okay, so let's do this one, expenses workflow. What we can do here, we can put a description in there if you wish, and we're going to apply this to all of our expense claims. And we're creating an expense flow within here. The first step here is we have approver as manager, and we want this to be, no matter what the value, every expense claim that gets sent through is approved via your manager. So if you have managers within a team, and we've set them up within our settings, and you leave this as just manager, it will find the user default, and it will send that approver the message to do that approval before you submit those items into your accounting software. So quite useful. However, if, for example, that manager isn't the person that you want to do the expenses, if you have an internal finance team and it's the same person that you want to review absolutely everyone's expenses, you can, instead of saying your manager, you can select a certain user within Dext. So I could say, instead of that, we're going to have Damien within there, and he's going to be my expense approver within there. I can add multiple stages to this. So Damien always reviews all the expenses. However, I want Paul to review this when the value is more than a certain amount within there. With there, what we can do is we can then switch this workflow on so it's live, and we can turn on this auto publish once approved. What this means is that once the item has been approved by all of the necessary people, what's going to happen from there is we're going to publish that directly into the accounting software. If you have that turned off, what will happen is once you've approved it, it'll go back to the original expense user, and then they will be allowed to publish it instead of sending it through that approval flow, because you guys have approved it as well. So super useful within there. So like I said, if you keep that as manager, it will default to the person's manager. However, we're going to override that and send that everyone's expenses, no matter what, to Damien, and elevate that if it's over £1,000. We can then save that approval flow within there, and we can go back to our approvals. So jumping back into my expenses, what you'll see is I have an inbox full of all of everyone's expenses because I am an admin user. I can see everything. We also have an approvals tab within here, which is everything that's been sent for approval. So if I was, say, for example, myself, I've done my expense claims, everything's fine. We're going to call this Dex Roadshow expenses. I'm going to say, yeah, I'm happy with that. Everything's fine. And I'm going to send that and request approval within there. What you'll see is I can then go back and look at my expense claims, and you'll see within here there's an item ready to be approved. Again, as I'm an admin, I can see everything, but I wouldn't do it if I was just a standard user. I can see this is prepared by me, and the next approver is Damien, as it's hit that approval flow within there. I can then go through here, and I'll be able to approve this and say, yeah, we're happy with that. Let's put it into the accounting software, or let's kick it back to our user for them to publish into the accounting software if they have the rights to do so. Alternatively, we can reject it, and we can give a reason to why we've rejected that. And there'll be a full audit trail for that user to say, yeah, you're not allowed to claim the expenses for the 12 bottles of wine you ordered after 3 a.m. in the morning, or whatever that is the case within there. So what will happen is, just like here, as you can see in my costing box, it will come back and say rejected. It will give a reason to why, which says reason is here. Please chat with me first. As you know, that's probably going to be bad if your manager's asking you to come and have a chat with them after that expense claim. What you'll see is within our expenses, like we just showed you there, and our expenses approval flow, the expense claims here are at the top. So we can now enable this new accountancy process. And if you don't quite like it, you can turn it off, you can turn it on, and we can go from there. So yeah, if you prefer the old expenses approval process, you can turn it off. If you like this new one, you can turn it on, and you can switch between the two. So if you do create workflows within here and turn it off, then there's absolutely nothing lost. As soon as you turn it back on, all of these workflows that you've created will still be there. Okay, so that is our sort of new approval workflow within there. If you are sort of a combination of the two, so you're a user who has business expenses that are paid for by the business, and you also have personal expenses paid for yourself personally, and effectively what you'll see there is that when you do that auto expense claims within my expenses, so bear with me a second, when I showed you that auto expense claims, that won't work, because if your user's scanning in something that is a business expense claim, because you've set up auto expense claims, it will automatically get dragged to an expense, even though it shouldn't do, because the business has paid for that out of business funds. So what you can do instead is, or should I say the opposite of that is, if you're a business user and you do have expenses, everything comes into the inbox, and then you have to manually drag it out and put it into that expense claim. So either way is not really great. So what I will say is there is a little workaround that I used to promote in practice, is you can have multiple users within here. So what you'll see here is you have, I've got a user here, max.whiteley, and I've just used this plus item here. So you put your email address plus just after the first bit and before the @ you can create multiple email addresses. However, all of these, Dext will pick them up as max.whiteley@dext.com. And if you do have any email notifications that we need to send you on those, we will send them to that email, ignoring the plus element there as well. So I could have max.whiteley plus 0@dext.com, and I could have max.whiteley plus expenses at dext.com. What I could do is I could have this user set up for auto expense claims and this user not. So every time I send an invoice into Dext using this login, and you can have multiple logins on your phone and switch between the two, then you can do that. It's a little bit technical, a little bit of a workaround, but if you do want to set up that auto expense claim to automate the process for expenses, you can set up another user for yourself and call it plus something else. Set up those auto expense claims. Just remember that when you are doing personal expenses, to use that login. When you are doing business expenses, to use your normal login that isn't associated with those auto expense claims within there. Okay. In terms of your notifications and things like that, what you can do is within your user settings in the top right hand corner, you do have email notifications within here, so you can change all of your email notifications for you as a user. But we also have these approval notifications within here. So items you need to be approved, you can either have it every time someone sends you something for approval, it instantly tells you. Or if they're doing multiple things, or you only want to you have a big team and they're all sending you items, you can say every hour send me things that need to be approved. Don't send it me every single time someone sends me something for approval. For rejected items, you can say when do you want to be notified. Usually the case is instantly, but again we can group these within here, and we can change our notifications within there. So that is where they are. So have a little look and play with those. But that's how I would go best about creating your user expense claims within there. So super useful within there. So hopefully that's provided some insight around some of your cost items, some of your expense claims, our new approval process within there, some of our user settings that, if you do have employees who are expense users, the best is to have them as a standard user and to set up the auto expense claims. if you do have people who are managing the process that you want to have full oversight of all of your business expenses, then you might want to elevate them into the admin position so they can see absolutely everything. I'm just going to stop sharing there and jump back into my slides within there. And I've obviously not been looking at the questions and stuff as that's been happening. So let me have a little look throughout here within here. Someone said projects. We use the projects module on the older version and we need to continue to use this. If you're looking at sort of tracking categories within Dext, everything is exactly the same. It's just because I was zoomed in there. It wasn't on the within the right-hand side, Lindsay. So you can see absolutely everything within there. If someone uploads accidentally to sales, how can I move to costs? So within your area there, you can, George just responded to that. You can, select your item in your costing box, click tools, and it'll say move to the costing box within there as well. Okay, I'm going to keep moving and let some of the team answer some of these questions, and hopefully the team will flag me some questions to answer at the end, as I know we're slightly running out of time. So in terms of the new features that we've covered, a little bit of a recap. Mileage is here. Like I said, if you hold the submit item or hold the plus button item on your mobile phone, it will give you the option now to submit a mileage claim. We're going to track all of your, your distances traveled, all of the rates, and keep everything up to date. Add your vehicle details and go ahead and start using that as of yesterday. So super exciting tool within there, making sure you guys, you're claiming all of the costs that you can do from HMRC. As we know, the budget recently is squeezing you. So we need to make sure we're squeezing back as much as we can. We now have expense approvals with our new expenses feature within there. So have a little look at that. Set up your approvals. Remember that you can have multi-level approvals depending on the value. We can keep that, the approval to just manager, and we can set up the user details so that each user has their own manager for that expense user process. And all admins can see absolutely everything. If they're a standard user, they will not be able to see everything within there. And this is available at no extra cost, so nothing extra to your license there at the moment. Okay, if you do want to find out more and you want to have a little more of a deep dive within here, there's a couple of areas that you can go. As I mentioned earlier, I do a lot of insight around education. When I mentioned earlier about the various ways to get your emails into Dext a little bit more efficiently, we have done some YouTube videos on there, so please do head over on that. I'll leave that on screen for a short second. They're only small clips, so if you do want to upskill on Dext and see what other people are doing in practice, then have a little look at that, have a little learn, and hopefully we can go forward with that. I'm also available on LinkedIn, so please do feel free to connect with me. I am sharing these videos on sort of like a daily basis, every other day. So please do have a little look, connect with me. If you've got any burning desires, you think, oh, I wish it did this or I wish it didn't do that, then please do reach out to me, give me a feedback, and we definitely want to make this product the best we can for you guys. From there as well. So let's see if there's any questions in here. I don't mind running over time. Obviously, if you guys have got a little bit more time to spare, then we can stay on and answer some questions. So Renee, you just said I've held the plus button on the mobile and it doesn't have a mileage claim. So for that, you'll need to go and either close your app, update the app on your app store. I think. Yeah, if you do go to the App Store and you've got the app open in the background, it won't let you update it. So if you close your apps, open the App Store, update it, then you will be able to view that within there. So yeah, Victoria, employees have to submit petrol receipts to go against a mileage claim. Is there a way they can send these receipts within here? You can merge them within your inbox. This is something I have raised to the team. I would like to build this out into later iterations that you can create a mileage claim and attach a receipt to there at the moment. But at the moment, what you would have to do is go into the costing box and merge those two items together. For auto expense claims, can we set the frequency to a specific date? So you can have any date within the month, and then you can choose the frequency to be, like George just said there, weekly, monthly, or fortnightly within there. Is there, yep, let me have a look. Projects, we use projects module. I think I've answered that one already. Let me go to some of the later ones. please can you cover how we deal with electric car claims, as you briefly mentioned it? Okay, so we can still put the mileage in there for our electric car claims. However, in terms of us claiming back the VAT calculation on that, we won't support that. So you would have to manually change the VAT amount once you've created the expense claim within there. So what I mean by that is the rates we use to calculate the tax on that is different depending on whether you charge your car at home or whether you charge it at a docking station. And we haven't quite worked out what the best way is to that. So, we don't want people to make mistakes and start taking HMRC sort of legislation in a different manner. So we're just having a little look at that before we do release that. But you can, do your mileage claims for your electric vehicle. Absolutely. It's just for that VAT claim within there. If you are to do that, you would just have to, once you've created that cost item of that mileage claim, you just have to manually go in, create your own VAT calculation and enter that within there as well. So let me have a little look within here. We've got some questions in the moderators chat that people have sent me. Let's have a look. I currently input invoices on Xero. It allows us to assign to projects. So in terms of projects, I know I've mentioned this one before. And what I answered that was, if you're talking about tracking categories for Xero or class and locations with QuickBooks, then yes, we do support that within all of our functionality. That is the same going forward with our new expenses and our mileage claims as well. But if you're using Xero projects, as in the paid add-on within Xero don't offer an API for developers to build onto that. So we currently don't support that sort of Xero projects. But for anything that you were using in the past, in terms of, if you could see what you thought was project already within Dext, then that will still be exactly as it is there. So people do often confuse tracking categories as projects, as you can set up a tracking category called projects, which is often the case. I'm probably overcomplicating that there, but hopefully that's answered the question. Are expenses added to expense claim based on the submission rather than the receipt date? No. So when you add an expense to an expense claim, that will go onto the expense claim as a line item within there with the date of the actual invoice. So the mileage claim will be the date it's created. The receipts will be the dates they are incurred, but they will get added to an expense claim. That expense claim itself will have a date, which is probably like the end of the month, like December expense claims, the date will be 31st of December. And when that goes onto your accounting software, the date in which that goes onto your accounting software will be the date of the expense claim, not the individual expenses within there. However, those dates will be picked up in the line details so you can review them within there. I forward business and employee expense claims. How can I separate them? So yeah, that's the two options there. So the options, if you have one user within Dext, you have to put everything within your cost items and you have to add them then into your expense claims. Or alternatively, you can set up that other user with that plus functionality that I used, which you can sort of do a bit of a workaround. So you have two users, especially on your mobile phone where you switch between the two. One is set up as an expense user, one is set up as that business user, and you can utilize our auto expense claims there to get around that. Trip capture captures GPS for the trip. Will this be added to the Dext mileage? Yeah, like I said, we're going to be adding some cool features to mileage. This is just the first iteration, and we are going to be taking this to the next level within there. Perfect, guys. I think that is it. Hopefully everyone enjoyed that. Hopefully that was somewhat useful. Like I said, do reach out to me, connect with me, keep on learning, keep on using, getting the most out of your Dext subscription. That's what I'm sort of my passion is over the next 12 months as I join the team, is to get everyone using all of the solution within Dext and making sure they're getting exactly what they're paying for. So hopefully that was useful, and hopefully everyone has a fantastic weekend and is a little less stressed when managing their expenses and business expenses. Thank you very, very much, guys. And yeah, we'll see you very, very soon. Thank you all.